Wait, absolutely terrible bad. He's so stupid it hurts.
Surprise! Brand new intro that will be played every week for when we do our predictions. All right, Quinn, let's get into it here. First game of the NFL season is a big one of the biggest games of the week and the year. The Ravens at the Chiefs. I'm going to start with the Chiefs fan himself, Quinn. Who do you got?
So here's the tough thing, right? So last year, the Chiefs lost their home opener. I think they lost the year before that, too. They don't do phenomenally the first game of the year after the Super Bowl. And we all know, I'm sure this will be a theme, but weird stuff happens the first week. Like, teams that win are like, you don't expect to. And the Ravens and Chiefs have played a lot, especially in Baltimore. And usually it's the Chiefs winning last year, I think, or the year before. The last time they played each other in Baltimore, the Ravens won for once. So it's going to be a really good game. Very good. But for this one, I think I'm going to take the Ravens for week one.
Woohoo! Quinn going against his fandom here. I like it that we got objectiveness and realism here rather than just saying that your team's going to flat out win every week and be undefeated. But I'm thinking the Chiefs are going to kind of break that trend of losing every first week. I think they're a better roster now than they were at the time week one. I know the concerns of like playing against Derrick Henry for the first time linger, but man, the Chiefs defense was very underrated last year. And now Chris Jones, we know, is going to play week one, unlike last year. Maybe the Chiefs would have won if Chris Jones played that game. I think he's going to be a big difference maker here in this game to shut down the Ravens running game. I like Baltimore a lot. I think they'll be a great team. This game will be close. I'll be shocked if this is a blowout. This will be a close game. But I'm going to go with the Chiefs here to win this game and open the season with a dub. I just got a feeling Mahomes' magic is going to hit week one, just to me.
Yeah, it's interesting because I wanted, like, Arrowhead is a big factor, I think, in this game. That is in Arrowhead in the Chiefs Stadium. But we know that the Chiefs don't always win in the regular season at home. Like, they save that and all their mystery for the playoffs and winning, which, I mean, is great for them. But, like, the Eagles beat the Chiefs last year in Kansas City, 21-17. And, like, that was still when they were 9-1 before everything started falling apart with the coordinators. But so it's kind of, I feel like during the regular season, Arrowhead doesn't have the advantage it always does. But I'm hoping the Chiefs will win, but it'll be a really good game either way.
Oh, yes, it should definitely be. Maybe, hopefully, it'll live up to the hype more than the AFC Championship game did.
Yeah, hopefully.
But let's go to a game that really means near and dear to your heart. First ever Friday NFL game, and the first ever game in fucking Brazil, of all places. The Green Bay Packers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm really hoping that the grass quality is good. I hope we don't run into any issues there in Brazil. Hell, they probably might have better grass than we do, to be damn honest.
Yeah,
should be a very good game. Eagles fans may be salty that one of their home games is in Brazil. So now they only have like 7 home games, but hey, it is what it is.
We don't need it.
I got one of my first upsets here. Not my specific upset of the week, but I'm going to go with the Packers here to beat the Eagles.
Boo.
Just because I like their upside. I think Jordan Love can clutch up here. I just don't know with this Eagles defense how good they could be yet. While the Packers defense, I think, can have the ability to shut down Philly. This will be another close game. This might be, it might be like a run-heavy game, especially on Philly's side of the ball. Packers, too, because of the addition of Jacobs. But in the end, I'm going with the Packers as an upset win to make Tom Grossi happy.
Well, so here's the thing. There's also a lot of air quality issues in Brazil. And the fires going on, and there's been some interesting stories about it.
I mean, do we remember the Olympics?
Yeah. Some of the Eagles players haven't been thrilled about doing that, and like A.J. Brown's like, yeah, I'm just gonna stay in my room afterwards and not deal with that. But I feel like this season, because of the coordinators and the collapse last season, people are like underestimating the Eagles, and like being underdogs is where the Eagles have played their best football. I mean, look at the Super Bowl with where Carson Wentz got hurt, and it's Nick Foles that came in the playoffs and saved us and won the Super Bowl.
We get it.
I think this season it seems like everyone's underestimating the Birds. I heard some guy say about like, oh yeah, whichever Packers receiver, I don't remember which one, maybe Jalen Reed or something, but they're like, oh, he'll do great against the Eagles secondary. They're bad. And I'm like, did this guy miss the whole draft? Like, did he forget about Quinyon Mitchell and then Rodgers coming back and from suspension and playing really well? So I think the Eagles are kind of going into the season underdogs, and I love it because we're loaded, and I think we're going to take care of the Packers just fine here. And it's going to be a great game. I'm going to enjoy it because it's the Eagles-Packers, but of course, it'll all be Eagles. They're rooting for the Eagles this whole time for me. Sorry, Packers.
It's going to be hard for me to get used to Friday night NFL. That's usually reserved for high school, but NFL needs that cash somehow.
Yeah, might as well.
All right, let's go to a game that's near and dear to my heart, and that is my Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Atlanta Falcons. Two new quarterbacks, completely different. We got Russell Wilson and the Steelers versus Kirk Thuggins and the Falcons. Quinn, who do you got here for this one?
I have the Falcons. I just think they're too loaded on offense. I mean, now that you have a quarterback that can actually get the ball like competently to your weapons, because you have Kyle Pitts, I think he'll do well this year because he actually has a quarterback that'll throw to him, and a offensive coordinator and coach that's not Arthur Smith and not going to just throw to the second string tight end all the time. And not to mention you have Drake London as well and Bijan Robinson, and the Falcons defense is pretty good. It's not amazing, it's not bad, but I think it's pretty good. And I mean, I like Russell Wilson. I think he's good on the Steelers, but you have only Pickens and like no other receivers basically. And then I like your running backs. I don't love your running backs. And I mean, your defense is good, but I think in Atlanta can be a tough place to play. And with all the weapons and Kirk Cousins actually there, I mean, look what he did with Justin Jefferson. I think the Falcons are going to win this one.
Even as a try to be optimistic Steeler fan, I'm going to agree with you and say Atlanta takes this one here. I just think with this new roster of the Steelers, it's going to be more of a slow start to really gain chemistry with the team. We lost our main center for the year. We have a rookie from West Virginia, the center that we drafted, that's starting immediately. So that's going to be a lot of pressure on him. And Atlanta improved their defense a lot this offseason. And like you said with the offense, I mean, Bijan, I'm expecting big things from him. And Arthur Smith, you mentioned him. This is his return to Atlanta.
That's true.
So he's going to probably be up in the booth because he doesn't want to get booed out of the building down the field by the fans. I think he'll be... I mean, anybody could be better than Matt fucking Canada. But I think for both teams, especially the Steelers, it might not be a lot of highlight reel plays. It's going to be a lot of ground and pound, run the football. That's how the Steelers especially are probably going to be this year. It's weird, too, because they got a lot of injuries besides the center. Roman Wilson, we don't know if he's playing week 1. Jaylen Warren, we don't know if he's playing. Another former Falcon, Cordarrelle Patterson, who I think is a future Hall of Famer, is going to play. I think he'll come out of nowhere and make some great plays because he's done that in the preseason. But when you got to contend with guys like Drake London, hopefully Kyle Pitts will finally live up to his potential. I just think it's going to be too much for this defense to handle, and I just don't think the offense is going to score enough. I don't want to overreact to preseason, but they kind of look shaky. I think it's going to take a couple weeks to really get things going for the offense here. And if they're going to be run heavy, then someone like Najee or Cordarrelle's got to go off, like really go off. And now that the lack of receivers, I mean, Van Jefferson's their number 2 now because Wilson's hurt. So George Pickens is probably going to be double covered, and they're going to struggle to throw the ball. So, yeah, give me Atlanta for this one.
Steelers country.
All right.
Let's weld.
Shut up. All right. Cardinals versus the Bills here. An interesting matchup because now Kyler Murray will finally be healthy for a Week 1 game here this year.
It's a miracle.
It is. I'm going to go with the Bills in this one. I think the home factor will play into it. I think a young new team will play into factor too. Marvin Harrison should be great this year. I love McBride as a tight end. But Arizona's defense, I mean, they made some picks, but they still got time to develop. Their defense is still going to struggle. And despite the scares and lack of weapons on the Bills, as long as Josh Allen's on the field and healthy, Buffalo's going to take this one.
Interesting. You see, if this wasn't Arizona, I would have no problem picking the Cardinals, right? I think the Cardinals will still win this one. And, I mean, I'm sorry, it's just the Bills. They have no one. I mean, Curtis Samuel's their best receiver, and we don't know if he's playing. And
he's not their best receiver. It's either Shakir or Coleman.
I disagree. I mean, Curtis Samuel, he was like a number 2 in Washington. He was good. He wasn't great. I think he got like 600 yards. But, like, I think he's better than Shakir, the other guy. Name slips my mind. Coleman, yeah. I mean, at least I know Curtis Samuel, and he does well. So, and he's not even playing. So, and yes, Josh Allen is talented. But, like, who's on the team? And, yeah, the Cardinals, like you said, their defense isn't great, but, like, Marvin Harrison Jr., they have Kyler Murray in the game, actually. Trey McBride's pretty good. James Conner can do some stuff. I mean, yes, the Bills have James Cook, and it'll be interesting. I'm going to take the Cardinals here, though.
Alrighty then. I mean, I'm not surprised. You hate the Bills more than
I don't.
You hate the Cowboys.
No. Cardinals. Cardinals. Cowboys are easily number 1. No one comes close. The Niners are the closest after that, but no.
But if you don't, like you said, Week 1 is a weird trend in terms of you don't know who's going to win. There might be some teams that end up being shit for the rest of the year that upset some teams in Week 1. We're getting into some of them now. Let's go with the Titans versus the Chicago Bears here. 2 young quarterbacks here. The mayonnaise man, Will Levis, versus Caleb Williams, Pink Nails himself. Don't get me canceled, YouTube. Anyway, Quinn, who do you got for this matchup?
You see, this is tough because it feels like 2 rookie quarterbacks. You know, Will Levis has played 5 games, maybe. It's tough because part of me wants to lean towards the Bears, right? But they're all rookies, and it's hard to do that when they haven't played a full game. So honestly, here I think I'm gonna go the Titans because at least Will Levis has experience a little bit. I like some of their weapons. I don't remember if D-Hop is healthy or not, but at least Pollard is a good running back. He kind of regressed a little bit, but I think he'll do well. The Bears' defense, it isn't phenomenal, right? And like I said, it's tough. It feels like young teams. But Will Levis did really well in, I think, one of his first games actually starting fully last season. And I think he has the potential. I mean, Kelly Williams, I think, can do very well too. But it's his first game. I don't feel good about rookie quarterbacks winning their very first game. And so I'm going to go with the Titans here.
Well, I feel very good about rookie quarterbacks winning their first game just because I like the Bears roster overall. The Bears defense, their pass rush is good. Montez Sweat's very good for them. Their secondary kind of has woes and issues, but so did the Titans. They were the worst rushing defense in the league last year. Their secondary gave up, I think, some of the most passing touchdowns. Their rushing defense was terrible. Yeah, they maybe we'll expect them to obviously improve, but immediately, I don't know. I think this Bears defense could carve them up pretty well. Yeah, Caleb Williams is a rookie quarterback and might experience his mistakes, but when I mean, he kind of looks like a veteran out there. He doesn't look like he panics out there. He looks pretty good to me. So I'm gonna go with the Bears here to win this game against the Titans. All right, let's go to Texans versus the Colts. Another game where it's like, as much as me and Quinn are in love with Houston. I mean, you never know. It's week 1, but I am still going to go with the Texans to win this game just because their roster is completely loaded. Indy's defense, I mean, I feel like their defense is a little bit older. I mean, I think DeForest Buckner's still there.
I think so.
But they're stacked, Houston, on offense. Have fun covering all 3 like very talented receivers with your secondary here. I mean, when these 2 play, it's usually close. Last year, it came down to a drop pass for a playoff spot. So I'm not expecting anything different here. And Richardson should light up fantasy points for me, but I'm going to go with the Texans to win here.
So, honestly, before, and most of me thinks that the Texans are probably going to win this. But like you're saying, it's always close. It's always kind of weird. It is in Indianapolis. Weird things can happen the first week. I don't think this would be too weird because it's just division politics, really. So I'm going to say the Colts win here. I mean, Anthony Richardson coming back didn't look phenomenal preseason. He had some bad takes from what I saw and heard. But I think, I mean, Jonathan Taylor is great. Michael Pittman is he's a pretty good receiver, I think it'd be fair to say. I wouldn't say really good, but he's a competent number 1, maybe towards the bottom of 1 tier. But, you know, he's perfectly good for Anthony Richardson. And so, like I said, with how things have gone, I think Anthony Richardson could come out guns blazing, even though he hasn't been so hot in the preseason, but it's also the preseason. We don't know. We don't overreact to that, except Bowens. So I'm going to go with the Colts here. You know, spice it up a little bit. Could be wrong. Texans could just obliterate them, but it's the weird division games in Indianapolis. I'll take the Colts.
Interesting. Let's go to a game where I was the most back and forth of in terms of like a random ass upset, and that is the Jaguars versus the Miami Dolphins here. Yeah, it's a weird matchup of 2 Florida teams here. Quinn, who do you got for the Battle of Florida?
I have the Dolphins. The Jags are all right, but I think they're going to take out the Dolphins week 1. Maybe if this was in December, then if
here we
Trevor's
go
in his groove, Dolphins kind of slip up a little bit. I think it could be different, but I think the Dolphins are going to be fine here week 1.
In his groove, the Jags collapsed too last year. They got the Steelers in the playoffs.
If he gets in his groove is what I mean. If he's in his groove, then it could go differently. But
I was back and forth, but I am going to agree with you. It's September. It's hot weather. That means Miami's offense scores points. That means lots of points. And I just think that's the case here for Miami. I know Jacksonville's pass rush is very good by the man who changed his name so he doesn't sound the same as Josh Allen. But secondary still has a little bit of concerns, and the offense does too with the loss of Calvin Ridley and just how good can their receiving core be. I could see this probably being the shootout of the week in terms of like offensive prowess here on both sides. But if you're getting into that battle, Miami doesn't lose those. So yeah, give me the Dolphins. All right, let's go into maybe one of the least interesting matchups all week, and that's the Panthers versus the Saints. 2 teams that I don't think are going to be that good this year, but I'm going with the upset and saying Carolina wins because fuck New Orleans and fuck that organization.
Wow.
Fuck Dennis Allen. I mean, I see some upside in Bryce Young with Canales as his new coach and Deontay and Thielen. I have confidence. I think they'll pull off the upset here and beat the Saints here because why not?
I also I was thinking about picking the Panthers, but I think I'm going to go with the Saints. I mean, Derek Carr's still good. I mean, they have Alvin Kamara. You drafted him yourself. I mean, Michael Thomas is still there, but you have Olave as well. And the Panther, I mean, Bryce Young hasn't showed us a lot. I mean, Canales is great, especially with quarterbacks. So I think they do have a chance, but it is in New Orleans, I believe. So I have to go with the Saints here.
All right, that's all that needs to be said, because screw that game. Patriots versus the Bengals. Quinn, we know how much the Bengals love to go 0-2 every year and how much they struggle. Quinn, do you think it's going to happen again here?
I have the Bengals ending their streak and winning this first game of the week. I don't think the Patriots are going to be able to do it. I mean, maybe if Drake May was starting, but I don't think it's quite going to work out. And I think Jalen Polk, their rookie receiver, also isn't playing. So yeah, I don't think the Patriots are going to challenge them here. I think Gerard Mayo is going to learn a thing or two about coaching his first game, and yeah, I don't think they're going to win it, unfortunately. So yeah,
I'm gonna agree with you and say Cincy ends their curse of bad regular season starts. Jamar or no Jamar, they still got a good team around them. And the Patriots gutted their roster. I mean, when Juju Smith-Schuster gets cut for a team that really needs receivers, they're just telling you they're rebuilding pretty much. So, yeah, I'm with you where if Drake May would have started out, would have been a little bit more like, maybe an upset can happen. But this is a completely new team, a completely new coaching staff. Patriots might be one of the worst records in the league. I don't think they're favored in any games they play. So I'm going with Cincy to win here for week 1.
And it is the Bengals, is Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase playing.
Exactly. You can't bet against them, except when you can. Anyway, another one of my least favorite matchups all week is Vikings versus the Giants. Just a whole lot of
gross.
It might be like 10-3 or something. But I'm gonna go with the Vikings because at least they have a competent weapons. They got probably the best receiver in football. They got a brand new running back in Aaron Jones. Addison, I don't know if he's playing or not. I don't know what's up with him, but if he is, that's a good piece for them. And even though I don't think either teams, especially the Giants, are going to be good at all, I think Sam Darnold can at least produce better with his team than Daniel Jones can. Because Jones literally has nobody except Malik Neighbors. So yeah, Vikings.
This was also a tough, kind of gross game to predict in the terms of I really don't know what's going to happen. Part of me wants to say the Giants because they seem to beat the Vikings, but then Daniel Jones has been atrocious lately. So it's especially preseason from what I've heard. Again, preseason, but I think I'm also taking the Vikings. I mean, they have Justin Jefferson. At least Sam Darnold can play well. I mean, Daniel Jones can. I'd say the nickname Danny Dimes is more a sarcastic one, but he can do well. And Brian Dable, I do like, but with the rookie receiver, I think the Vikings will win this one. Danny Dimes will not get a dub, unfortunately.
Yes, sorry, no dimes today. You get pennies at best, Danny. All right, here. We're going more into the West here with the Raiders versus the Chargers. This was a tough one, man, because we just don't know what the heck's going to happen with both these rosters here. I don't expect great things from the Chargers, but a lot of people somehow still expect good things from them despite the lack of receiving core. I think it's going to bite them in the ass and say the Raiders upset the Chargers here. And Gardner Minshew Mania is going to run wild on San Diego. I mean, who's going to cover Devontae? The Raiders' offense in terms of receivers is still pretty good. I know they have Jacoby Myers. They got a pretty good duo at tight end too, in Bowers and then Michael Mayer. And the Raiders improved on defense as well with Max Crosby. I think they got another rusher veteran. I forgot who. I apologize. That's not professional of me to not know that, but they're hoping that not another Chandler Jones situation happens. So, but their pass rush is good. Pierce, people were questioning, like, is he good long term as a coach? But the team clearly loves him. I mean, Max Crosby threatened to get traded if they didn't extend him. Chargers, I think this is just a rebuilding period. We know damn well they're going to focus on the run. The Raiders know they're going to focus on the run. I think they'll be prepared for it. I feel bad for Herbert. He literally has no one to throw to that's a true number one. So give me the Raiders.
So I'll say you're right. The Chargers defense isn't so good. I mean, they still have Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, at least. Like, they still have that. But then the Raiders, they have Max Crosby. They have Jack Jones, cornerback from the Patriots. And, like, the Raiders, their receivers and their weapons on offense, I think, actually, just kidding. Like, just the receivers and Brock Bowers are, like, you have Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers. I just said that. But Brock Bowers and Devontae Adams are questionable as well. And then it is at the Chargers. I mean, you still have Justin Herbert and, like, I think Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, like, they're good running backs. And, I mean, their line's going to be better now. I mean, they have a new coach, John Harbaugh. I think he's going to do very well with them. I mean, Joshua Palmer, not a bad receiver. DJ Chark, not bad either. Quentin Johnson, I think he could come back this year. But, yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers here. It's at home for them. And it's kind of a tough one as well, but I think the Chargers will win it.
All right, let's go into your bold team of the year to make the playoffs in the Denver Broncos versus the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take the Seahawks here. I think the fact that it's at Seattle, it's a very tough place to play for a rookie quarterback like Bo Nix. I think the communication problems are going to luster here. And the Broncos, I mean, they just got a lack of weapons on offense. They have, like, okay number ones in terms of Cortland Sutton, and I believe Williams is still their back, I think, if that serves me correctly. But
I believe so, yeah.
But neither of them last year did anything to excite you. And as good as Knicks looked in the preseason, this is the regular season now, and now you're on the road in one of the toughest places to play. While Seattle, I may not be like the most inspired by long term, Denver's defense was not good last year. Compared to 2 years ago when they were one of the better defenses, they struggled. And as good as Surtain is, not everybody can cover their receiving core with Metcalf and the ageless wonder, Tyler Lockett and Njigba. They got a pretty good duo at running backs as well, and Walker and Charbonnet. I mean, Geno, I know people have concerns about, but I think he'll get the job done here, and I'll give Seattle the win.
I think this will be a good game, a very good game this week. The thing is, I'm going to go with the Broncos and Bo Nix. I think,
my
yeah,
God.
Woohoo! Their hype is real. Anyway, but like last season, the Rams played the Seahawks at home to start, and the Rams won 30-13. And then in the third week, they played the Panthers. The Seahawks won 37-27, but that was Bryce Young's third game in the league, and how bad the Panthers were last year, and they let that many points up. Not to mention the end of the year, how the Steelers, you guys like won 30-23 in December at Seattle. So
True.
this is be a bit of an upset, but I think the Broncos can win this one. I think it's a close game. It's difficult. I kind of want to choose the Seahawks, but I think the Broncos can come out and win this one. And Sean Payton is a very good coach, and their defense is good. I mean, they kept Patrick Surtain. They have some other weapons there. Not weapons, but good defensive pieces there. And, yeah. So, I'll take the Broncos.
Well, Sean Payton's a douche, but, yeah, he is a good coach. All right. Commanders versus Buccaneers. Sort of an interesting matchup, but not one that I'm going to be hurrying up to turn my TV on. I guess Daniels interests me and interests a lot of people. Maybe it'll make the Commanders' offense actually watchable.
Huh.
But another rookie quarterback where it's just like you're on the road, it's going to be tough. And Baker's experienced, and they had the experienced offense, and the Commanders just gutted their defense. They really don't have anybody anymore, and Tampa's going to feast on that. Mike Evans might have a big day. The running game might have a big day. Baker might have a big day. Give me Tampa here.
So I'm also going to take Tampa. I mean, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin with Baker, and he can give them the ball. The only rookie quarterback I have winning is Bo Nix this week. And again, that's even a tough pick. So, yeah, I don't think the Commanders are going to win there.
All right, let's get into one of my my favorite games of the week here. I'm excited for this one. It is the Cowboys at the Browns. Let's switch it up and start with Quinn here. Who do you got winning this matchup?
The Browns. A lot of people think the Cowboys are going to do terrible this season because they've gone quote all in. Yeah, I mean, they're still going to be good, but I think they're going to struggle a lot more this year. I mean, they might just pull it out of their magic hat and get another 10 wins, but I think it's going to be a lot more difficult this year with the pieces they've lost and what they haven't acquired. And I think the Browns, it's at the Browns. I think they could win this first game, even though Chubb's out. I mean, they have very good backup options. And Jerome Ford, and he did well last year as well. So I feel pretty good about the Browns here.
I'm going to agree with you and say the Browns take to the Cowboys here. Besides CeeDee Lamb, have fun dealing with this Browns defense in this pass rush. As good as and honestly, I will say their O-line is good, with Zach Martin being maybe a future Hall of Famer, but you also got Myles Garrett there. The secondary got a lot better last year. They were just one of the best defenses in football in general, and they're going to struggle. I don't think the run game's going to do good at all with the lack of running backs they have. If you really think Practice Prime Zeke's going to go off against a very good run defense, you're kidding yourself. So they're going to have to rely on the pass game. Their offense might get very predictable at times. And they lost their coordinators, too. Dan Quinn's gone. Kellen Moore's gone. So I think Mike McCarthy might be doing the play calls, I believe. And we know how that leads to disaster. And the Browns, I mean, they're such a wild card team, man, because they have so much potential to be great. But a lot of things, Deshaun, holds them back a bit. I will say the last game he played last year, he did amazing against the Ravens and let it come back. There was kind of peaks of that Deshaun form. I don't think we're going to see that, but I think he'll do enough against this Cowboys defense, who, granted, is a good defense, but I don't think they're as good as Cleveland's is.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think the difference here is that the Browns running game, even with Jerome Ford and the loss of Chubb, is much better than the Cowboys. So I'm going to go with the Browns, and probably a low-scoring defensive affair, but the Browns nonetheless.
Yeah. We're on the same page there. I think it's tough to choose the Cowboys.
Let's never pick the Cowboys. Never.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Sunday night football here. Probably, I think I'm looking forward to this game. Besides Ravens Chiefs, but I think I'm looking forward to this game the most. The Rams versus the Lions, the rematch of the wild card matchup here. Quinn, who do you got winning the first Sunday night football game of the year?
I think the Lions will win this one. It's in Detroit. I mean, my power rankings, I have the Lions ranked above the Rams, so it makes sense that they would win. Although, I guess, well, anyway. I think the Lions are going to win. It's going to be a good game. It's one of my top picks for one of the best games of the week, but I think the Lions will win because it's in Detroit. But it'll be fun for Stafford to come back and see what happens in Detroit.
I'm excited. I think this could be another offensive showcase here from both sides. And this is going to be another hypocritical pick because I expect big things out of the Lions. I'm going with the Rams upset here on Sunday Night Football. I just think these teams are pretty evenly matched. I really do, especially on the offensive side. the Rams could have easily won that wild card game. There was even a few missed calls there that you could have argued could have helped the Rams. So I think the Rams get the better of the Lions here. And yeah, not much detail to say. I just think, yes, the Lions got better at the secondary, but the Rams offense might be a little bit much. And I just think I love Jared Goff as a QB, but Stafford is a better quarterback overall, and I think he'll be able to come in the clutch and win a very good, close game. So give me the Rams in an upset.
All right, exciting. I like it.
I know, I like it too. All right, final prediction of this week. Aaron Rodgers on Monday Night Football again. Will he get hurt again? Dear God, I hope not. I don't want to see Zach Wilson again, but it is against the man who tackled him and injured him. It is the Jets at the 49ers here. Quinn, who do you got winning this Monday Night Football matchup?
The Jets. I don't know the rest of the chain, but I'll take the Jets here. It's a bit of an upset, but if Trent Williams doesn't play, I mean, we talked about that record earlier, 0-2 when Trent Williams doesn't play. And if Aaron Rodgers back, I think with a new team, gets a little salty and beats the Niners. No, you didn't draft me? That sucks. Time to lose in their stadium. So I think switch up, different scenery, different coach, different team. I think he can do it. I think the Jets win this one.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm going to agree with you and say the Jets win and upset the Niners. Along with what you said, Trent Williams is a big loss, and the offensive line struggles without him, and the Jets have a very good defense and pass rush. They're one of the few defenses that could contain the Niners very well. And I don't think Rodgers is getting hurt. I think he'll actually have good luck on his side. A lot of people, including me, may not like him personally, but you can't deny that how great he is at QB. And while he may not be like prime Rodgers, he'll still like sling the ball well. I think this one will be another close one. Two very powered offenses and defenses. But I'm going to go with the Jets. I'm going to go with the upset pick here. I'm expecting Breece Hall to have a pretty big day. Garrett Wilson as well. Yeah, I think the Jets just edged them. And it's weird because the Jets are kind of an under-the-radar team, which I think is good for them. I mean, I had them missing the playoffs. They had high expectations last year, and it just fell flat after the first week. So the fact that not a lot of people are saying anything, I could easily somehow see the Jets shocking everybody.
Yeah, and let's hope that this season, unlike last, these good games that we're predicting that will actually be high scoring will actually be high scoring and exciting. Because last season, it felt like 8 weeks before we actually got a really good game, even not as high scoring, but a good competitive, exciting game.
Yeah, there might be a lot of rush shown from these players here. We'll see. Maybe we'll get a game of the year already here in week 1.